What's up, guys? Today taking a look at what I consider the ultimate virtual guitar rig setup. So using Reaper, I'm not really a big fan of virtual guitar stuff, but I gotta admit this sounds good. A lot of stuff over here, typical pedal chain. So is you would do in the real world, that's the way you would set all this stuff up. So you got your tuner first. This comes with Reaper, and if we check that box, you'll see that's your tuner, and you just uncheck it. Now this program here, I know I'm gonna butcher it because it's a tongue twister for me. Klevgrand. That's how you say it. Klevgrand. So I butcher that name every time I say it. This program, I was looking for a noise gate and I couldn't find one that I liked. Either chop the sustain off or whatever. This one is very good. You have an ear here which you can click and hold and it will learn the noise floor. And then over here you have your attack threshold release. So if you were to drag your mouse this way, your attack would, come in later. You could see the milliseconds up there. And when I drag it back, 0 milliseconds. So over here, if you do the same thing, release, you got a longer release time, shorter release time. And then here is your threshold for your noise floor. So that's 100%, 0. Over here you have some, to smooth it out. And then this here is the hypothesis or something like that. I forget. But anyway, here's some treble. You have gain in here. You have your wet and dry mix. And just to show you what this would be like, I'll click on this Marshall JCM 800. Alright, so you can hear how noisy that is. So if we check this box up here and we click learn, you only need to hold it in for a second or two. It's going to learn it. So without it and with it. And my volume is kind of maxed out, as you could see. And on my station, I have it halfway up. And this would be all the way up. So very, very minimal. And just to show that. Now this I touched on, and I'm not really going to get into any amps. You want to watch that, go watch my other videos. But it's amped roots is what I'm using. Now, the other thing I want to say about amped roots is they have some fantastic impulse responses. Don't waste your time looking around. I looked at probably hundreds, listened to hundreds, and you're wasting your time because, they might move a mic here or there or this or that, and it's a real pain in the ass. You can load right from here, and yeah, there's custom loaders out there. I'm aware of it, the NAT-IR, but you could do that right here. You could bypass the cab. You can select different speakers, and on this one, for some reason, you can't click the cab. The interface here won't allow me to see that. But we'll switch to a different amplifier, and we'll take a look at that. And over here on the pedal board, you always want to make sure you turn off the effects because we have a ton of them over here, a ton of overdrives, which I'm going to get to. Moving on from that, I'm going to list in the description also a list of where you can get these plugins. A lot are free, and a lot, just because they're free doesn't mean that they're no good. Some of them are really, all of them that I picked are fantastic to me. So this is the Wahman And if we engage it, we'll get, you know what, we'll do some sound samples later on. But anyway, you have the effect here as a wah-wah, and we could demonstrate that later. You have linear, or you can actually hook this up to an expression pedal if you have a MIDI controller. Stereo on and off, power off and on, and then you have your beats per minute you can select. Your auto wah, so you can see this is going to do an auto wah sweep if you don't have an expression pedal. And then let's see, you can turn off and on the beats per minute, your input, your output, your frequency, your bandwidth, so you could tailor all of this to this wah. And let's move on from that. Okay, I forgot to load the license for this one. So I'm just going to close that out a second. But this one is by Audiority, whatever it is. It's a tube modulation. Really good. So you got a tube tremolo, a harmonic tremolo, a vibrato, a chorus vibrato, and a harmonic vibe, and a 66 vibe, and then a 66 chorus vibe. So this is really cool. You got all your different kind of sine waves for your LFO. You got your rate. You got the amount of how much you want. So if I guess it won't let me. I'll have to load the license and we'll check this out later. Over here you have the panner. You have, like, and this does to me sound like a Lesie speaker. The wow and flutter or whoa and flutter. You have another sine wave over here for the LFO. You have your rate and the amount on this side. And then down here you have sync, mix, and link. This is really fantastic. It's really cool. Next up is your FuzzFace. So you got your typical volume and fuzz, but what's cool is you can click tweak and you have your input level, your input filter, your gate, and then your wet, they call it clean and clean blend, which is your dry and wet mix. You have your low cut, so you want to cut some low frequencies off, you could do it here. You want some high cut, you can cut the high frequencies off here. You have germanium, and then you have silicon. You also have mono and stereo, and then as an added bonus you have over here the face, or well, it's actually a tone bender. So you have your level, you have your adjustment for the fuzz, your on and off switch, and then if you tweak it, you got them same things, level, input filter, gate, clean blend, low cut frequency, high cut, germanium, silicon, and these things sound good, so we'll get some sound bites on that a little bit later. The next one is a Big Muff. It's the Russian Big Muff. This one's free and it is fantastic. I really like this pedal a lot. Alright, so my battery cut out. Anyway, we got the Rangemaster, or as they like to call it, the Rangebastard. So you got your on and off switch, you got your level control, and then if you click tweak, you have your input level, your input filtering, your treble. You have two types of transistors, the 2SB175s and the AC128s. You have mono and stereo. You have your grid current, which I'm not quite sure what that is. And then you have your pickup style, so you can have none, a hot humbucker, a humbucker, a P90, or a single coil. So if your guitar is single coil, you could set it to humbucker. Moving on, we have another free pedal, which is your 808 Maxon Tube Screamer. And say you have your drive, your level, and then you have the 808 or the mod, tone control, on and off switch. Really good pedal. And let's see, then we have the Rat. This is the TSE, so it looks very much like it. You have your drive, your filter, your volume. and this one does sound good too. We'll get a sound bite of it. You got stereo on and off, you got high and low quality, and then your distortion pedal. We all know this one, you know, Steve Vai, everybody used this one, the DS1. So everybody knows, take the tone control and turn it down, and then turn it up a little bit until you're liking. Don't go past 12, stay, you know, somewhere around 10 or 12. You got your level control on and off. And then let's see, what do we got? After that, we got the Abuser. Okay, here's another one I forgot to put the license in. Okay, so the Abuser is a pretty wild plugin. You got your drive, you got your strength, and this is almost like a fuzz type overdrive. It has a tube in it and all. You have your tone, you have your output, you have digital or warm. Let's see, you have the envelope here, which gives you a mount and release. We'll get to that a little bit later. And then you have what I featured in my last video, which is the MXR Phase 90, Phase 45, the vintage down here, which would be the 1974. And then if you don't have any of them checked, I'm assuming it's block logo, and you have your rate that you could dial in. And then over here, again, if I strongly recommend to download and get the amped Roots amps with their impulse responses, and I could show you the cabs here. So I do have some presets loaded in here. I have this one dialed in for AC/DC, and the cab. And the reason I say your impulse responses, these are going to take care of all your needs, is you have mics here that you can push forward, you can pull them back, you can slide them, you know, side to side, use your mouse wheel, put it in off axis. You have your blend between the two speakers. The same thing with this one, you know, you can really tailor it. And I was able to get some very nice sound, which I, you know, do a sound bite on it. You have different mics here, and then you have different speakers here too. And honestly, all the impulse responses that I tried they paled in comparison to the ones in this. Now, this Plexi comes in the bundle pack along with a bunch of other amps too. So the 800 is one of them. We already took a look at that. You got your, you know, settings there. I have some Joe Walsh and Pink Floyd dialed in. I know Floyd doesn't really use Marshall, but you know, you could get sound out of any amp with an EQ and stuff and have it fairly close. Here again, this is the one you get free. It's the 5034 Fluff. I had the 5150 on, and I have the 5150 core settings. This is one where I kind of leave it on the pedal board. I leave the drive on, and then I have a setting here for Van Halen, which to me it sounds like it, at least in the room. When it's recording on camera, not so much. So I gotta kind of fuck with that every now and then when I'm laying down a track or whatever. Moving on, here we go. This is tailored after the Boss OC82 or whatever it was, the 1 octave up, 1 octave down. This thing sounds wild. So you actually have a gate here, you have input volume, you have DC offset. There's one guy on YouTube that really demos this well. It's a lot more complicated, but it's free. So and all these will be in my link in the description. You can, you know, go and get this. and we'll get a sound bite of this. You got your post LP gain, you got your threshold gate release, and then if you turn this one on, let's see, A, B, there's presets here that lights this one up. This is the envelope follower. I really need to, read up on it and find out what it is, but or what it does, I should say. LPF, the Octave 1 LPF, the Octave 2 LPF, so you can change those, change the rates there. Your Octave 1 volume, your Octave 2 volume. You have your linear or limiter there. So you have your output over here for volume. You have your wet dry mix, and then you have Octave 1, Octave 2, and down here you have some scope tuning. So you have that. Let's see, you have listen and key down there. This is a pretty complicated filter, but it's really, really good. You can see it's the Boss, and then you have a bunch of presets. I highly recommend using the presets if you want. There you could see the envelope follower just came on. So moving on, we got what to me is, I mean, every pedal board in my book should have an EQ, and this one is free. And I will list that in the description along with the other links, but it reminds me of the MXR 10-band EQ. I like it a lot. This tremolo is really awesome. I dialed in Green Day, so you get your square wave. What's cool about this is you got your phase and smooth over here. So phase, if you dial that up to 100% or bring it back down, that's going to determine your phase, your smooth. So at 0, you're going to have a nice choppy sound, like on Broken Dreams on Boulevard, or whatever that Green Day song is. And then as you go up to 100%, it smooths out. And then over here you have your rate. So if it's on sync, you'll have like your 8th triple, and then you'll have your 8th note, your dotted 8th, quarter, dotted quarter, and then your half. I mean, you could see what's going on, and it's not limited to just that. If you press sync, now you have hertz, so now you can dial in the speed. And let's see, if I click on my Joan Jett preset, there you could see that one I'm using speed. If we click back over here, it's on the 8th triple. Your depth, you know what that is. That is how strong it's going to come in. What I like about this tremolo too is the width. It really sounds big and like real wide, nice and wide, and you can dial it down. Then you have your low cut filter here and your high cut filter here, so you could tailor that. You got your output volume here. The other thing, this one right here, this is like what started it all. It's the most coveted chorus pedal, the Boss CE1. So you have your chorus mode, and then you have your vibrato mode, and then let's see, you have your chorus intensity, your depth, your rate, and then your power on and off. And then over here you have your level to adjust the level. You have a low and high input, and then over here you can turn the effect to normal or whatever off. Then you have vintage, you have stereo, and you have to decheck them or those will stay lit up, and you can hear a real difference. So stereo, you could see spread lit up. If you take that off, it disappears when it goes to vintage. And then let's check out the electric matter, which is the electric message from Mistress from Electro Harmonics. So you have your filter flanger and then filter matrix up here. You have your color, and you have your range, which is your depth, and your rate, which is your speed, and then TZ, I'm not really sure what that is, sync. Alright, so this next one is by Klevgrand again. It's called Modley. It's a complicated phaser, flanger, delay, you name it. So you got your pre, loop, and post. So you can put your plugins in here if you wanted to put a delay in pre, if you wanted to put a chorus in the loop, if you wanted to put a compressor post, you could do all of that. Over here you got your presets. So if you wanted, I mean, this is a really complicated program. I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know half of the shit that it does, but you could see there's presets for things, and it will move stuff around. I have it set up for, you know, a delay and a half repeat, 1.5 repeats I should say, so 500 milliseconds, and then if you click sync off, you have your dotted eighth and such like that as any other one. And then if you click sync off, you have your milliseconds. Your feedback is at 20, you know, I mean, it's percentage rate. Then you have your mode, normal, direct. You could freeze your delay, flange, whatever. Mode, you can do pre and post mode. Over here you have the mix control, the depth control for modulation, your frequency control, and then you have a limiter, and then you also have a master. And then moving on, I'm not going to talk too much about this one because I did it in my last video, but this one I really like the best for flange. The chorus on this is really, really good. I got Nirvana dialed in here, and the through zero flange. This is a really good. This is a paid one, but it's good. Then we got this one, which is really cool. And it's called Echoes, so it's, you know, like your old tape machine, and we'll get to that too. Next one up is the another one I forgot to put the license in. Anyway, it's the Echo-Plex, so you can use it to, you know, boost. You have your auxiliary echo, your main echo, auxiliary echo, off, sound on, sound, echo, chord level, you can dial that in, echo, early, late, regular. So you got a bunch of stuff here that you can mess with. You also have ducking and erase. And then moving down here, this is one fantastic delay. So looking at it, I'm not going to cover too much of this here other than mod and flutter. I don't really know about diff. The EQ high and low cut, I get that. The color I kind of get, along with, you know, the age I don't. But this I really don't understand. I just know I couldn't get a good sound messing too much with these three. So you got your feedback, you got your width, you know, how wide you want the sound to be. You have your spread, so you could go minus, negative, you know, milliseconds or positive. You have your delay, which is in the milliseconds. You have your mix, so wet and dry mix here, which you can lock if you want. And then you have what they call single. So you'll have a single delay here, or if you move this, you'll have a dual delay. So you can have two delays at once. If you move it again, it comes up with a ratio. And then if you move it again, you have a ping pong effect between your left and right channel. And then you have a quad. The other thing is where it says mode, and if you notice down here, every time I'm going over something, it tells you what it does. So the mode, for example, tape, hi-fi, you know, you got digital. So there's a lot of stuff. You got past era, the present era, and then the future era, and it really does tailor to it. You got some default settings in here, which I'm not going to go through because this video will be way longer than I want it to be already. But quickly going through some of this stuff, you can see there's a ton of shit and presets in here. And then if you click the presets that they have, you might find something, you know, that you like. But it's really a good delay. This is a fantastic, if you're looking for a reverb, I would highly suggest this one, the Valhalla Vintage Verb. So again, you know, you can lock the mix. That's going to be your wet dry signal, pre-delay. You got your decay, how long it's going to last. You got your dampening, shaping. Again, I really don't know what all that stuff does, but you got concert hall, you know, bright plate, and then over here color. So you could do like 70s reverb, 80s reverb, and then now's reverb. And then also, again, you know, you have different type of presets, and you could click on them here too. And you know, there's a shitload. So like if we click on plate, and then we click here, and we look for plates, and we go to a large plate, and then we can select either 70s or 80s. This thing really sounds good. Alright, so some other ones that I thought were worthy of mention is Rum by Klevgrand. This is another reverb, but it's more tight. It can sound quite not right, but you got your low and high, you know, cut. You got your gain, hallway. It's a smaller reverb, so it has its purposes. It has two different types of mics. It has 3 different characters, and then it has a pre-delay set. And then also sync, and let's see, for this part here you have your ducking and everything. Let me see if I okay, so if you click sync, you could do your quarter, eighth, 16th notes and stuff like that, but sync has to be clicked on. Fatness and spread, you know, I really don't know what that is. You got A, B, and C for that. You got your wet and dry mix here, which they should have just included one knob. And then you have a stereo, you know, type mix, which goes negative and positive. I'm trying to think where the ducking is. Okay, you got to click up here for the ducking. So if you set your threshold here, your attack here, your release here, I'm not really, I'll give a sound demo of that, but I thought it was worth to mention. The other one is this compressor by Klevgrand. It's really a, you know, a nice compressor. So all you do is click and you can kind of move around the shape how you want to compress things. The other one is by Distorque. Again, there was a couple, the Face Bender had this, so you have your on and off switch, your out, your compressor, and then your tweak. So you got all the thresholds and stuff on the back here, mono, stereo, low quality, high quality. And I actually thought it was a fairly decent compressor. I'm not really gonna, you know, touch too much on that, but those are the pedals. Let's get some sound bites. Alright, so let's start with the Plexi and just some plain reverb, and we'll do a little riff, and then we'll just get some sound bites of stuff, and maybe play a riff here and there. So we'll switch to the JCM 800, and let's see, we'll add a little bit of phase. We'll switch to the 5150 with Van Halen. We'll add a little bit of delay. Alright, so you hear the noise floor came up, and even if it relearns it, it doesn't really matter. It just is what it is. Fuzzes are that way. Switch to the neck pickup and we'll roll the volume off. We'll go ahead and switch to the tone bender and do a little cream. Alright, so we switched over to the JCM 800, added some tremolo. It's on the square wave, and it's going to be some Green Day, Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Alright, so what I did was I switched to this sine wave. I adjusted the phase and the smooth along with the rate and the depth and messed with the filter. Some Crimson and Clover. And I don't hardly know her, but I think I could fuck her. Alright, so let's run through these choruses. I'm going to give a shot of each chorus. We're going to do Come As You Are by Nirvana. This one also has a vibrato, so if you hit vibrato, let's switch it back to the high and turn the level back up. So it has a nice vibrato, and I like this pedal a lot. Sounds good. I did also want to mention this one has the vintage, and then you have to decheck that and then click stereo, and it has a spread. So just to do the vintage, and then the stereo. Not really hearing a huge difference, but figured I'd mention it. Let's move on to the next one, which will be the electric Mistress. So I already have this one set up. Let's just engage it, and we'll do the same thing. This one here is my favorite one. So I got this one all set up. And you can hear the difference in all of them. So the first one and this one I really like a lot. Alright, so let's take a look at the Boss Distortion, the DS1. I know Steve Vai and all use this, but you know, I don't remember what songs it was used on, so I'm just gonna do something with it. Alright, so here's the Pig Pie. Got the Marshall JCM 800 on. Got some Valhalla delay and some Valhalla vintage reverb. And that's the settings on there. And I think there's a built-in noise gate on this pedal because the noise floor is very, very low. So here's some Sorrow from Pink Floyd. And if you can hear, the notes kind of get choked off with that one, and I believe that is what's going on. There's some kind of noise gate in here. So if we click and load up the Big Goat, you'll hear the difference. Alright, so I got the Big Goat loaded up, and we'll play that same riff. And you'll hear it. This seems to sustain longer, and you can already hear the noise floor is a lot louder. I like the way the pig pie sounds. It's nice and tight, but it just chokes off the note. Alright, so moving on to the Tube Screamer. Just gonna play a couple of chords and see how this sounds. That's with it. Let's do it without it. And then the 808, we'll put the mod on. And we'll just put the drive up halfway. Go all the way. So here's the Rat, and this is the way I usually run mine, just to give you a shot. If we turn the filter, it follows suit the way the real Rat is, wired. So let's lower this volume and make it more practical. And then let's see what stereo does, if it does anything. And let's see about the low quality. so let's take a look at the abuser. This has some mean tone to it. And let's mess around, just see what these dials do. That's your output. That's your tone. Strength, that gets a little crazy. Let's dial the drive down. Already demoed this, but it's, you know, your typical Phase 90. It's nice. I like it. Now we're gonna get into some craziness. I'm just gonna go through some of the filters here because I really don't know what I'm doing with it. That's one, Octave 1 gated. Octave 1 only loud notes. Octave 1 polarity multiplier A. Octave 1 harmony enveloped. Ooh, that has some punch. You gotta have a sub for that, man. Man, that's vibrating my asshole. Whoo, that one's even lower. I know there's one crazy one in here that it just fucking is nuts. Gotta have a good set of headphones or a good sub. I like this. nothing super fat about that. There's that crazy one. And that's default. Alright, so here's the EQ. You could use this as a clean boost or, you know, to tailor your sound. It's just everything flat. It's not blowing the camera out, but that sounds good. Not really going to hear anything, you know, below that. But anyway, it's a simplistic EQ. It works, and it works good. All right, so here's Modley, and I have it set up for 1.5 repeats. And then let's check out some of their presets here. So what do we got? Distorted reverb. Let's see what that sounds like. Actually, let me take my reverb off. The Valhalla! Okay, so apparently they know a hell of a lot more than I do about this, but anyway, try this one. Pretty cool. Let's see what the fluttery is about. How about some Psychodrone? Yeah, the Vladimir, he's a psycho, huh? Alright, so you could do some fucking crazy shit with this. Alright, let's move on. Okay, so let's check out the echoes. I really have no idea what all these buttons do and these controls, but let's see what it sounds like. Alright, so that's our input control. The length of the swell. Okay, so that the whatever it swells as time goes on. And let's see what this does. Bass and treble, you know what that is. Echo. Repeat. Swell. And then let's see, what does this say? Head 1, head 2. I get a lot of head. Alright, so you got head 1, head 2, head 3, head 4. That's your tape heads. And then global. You gotta push the buttons, huh? Alright, so that controls the milliseconds. Okay, so the stereo spread, that's pretty neat. Extension. Okay, and you got your output boost. So, alright, so moving on to the PlexiTape. Off is off. Sound on sound. So let's put that on echo. Alright, so we know what that does. That's going to go infinite. And then record level. So we already know what record level is. Echo volume. Late and okay, preamp, late and early. Bass and treble, you know what that is. That sounds neat. The main coming from the right more so than the left. So there's your eighth and quarter notes. I know if you move this thing, it changes your notes too. Alright, so here's the tube modulator. We'll start off with the tube trem. This video is getting really long, so I don't want to fuck around too long. It's going to be a fucking hour, I'll bet. So here's the harmonic trem. Vibrato. some chorus vibrato. Alright, let's move on. Our harmonic vibe. The 66 vibe. And the 66 chorus vibe. And then you have your sine waves here. And then let's move over here to, and actually I think this coincides with this side. No, link. So okay, and then the wow and flutter. Alright, so you could see when you link them, they turn together for a mount, as does rate. Alright, so let's take a look at the last pedal, the wah-wah, the Wahman. That's the toe up, and this would be the toe down. Good for money for nothing, and your chicks for free. Frequency. So very, very versatile so far. You got, alright, so we got the bandwidth up here. And then your input. So that's your input volume. And then your output. And then your auto wah. And then what we got, beats per minute. And then linear, well, I don't have an expression pedal, so. I've got stereo either. And that's on and off. So that's going to wrap this video up.